Now, I am actually quite busy at the moment trying to review some of the more recent Hyperwings releases, but towards the end of last year, one of you guys contacted me about this aircraft model. You wanted to know a little bit more about it, like, for example, who has actually made it. And when I then actually, because I didn't remember, looked that up, I noticed that I'd never reviewed this aircraft model. So, well, here it comes. A little bit delayed, but better late than never, I guess. So here comes this lovely little 757. So with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at a Boeing 757-200 of Monarch Airlines. And what has to be said here is that the image you see here in front of the box is not the aircraft model inside. Well, kind of not. Because this aircraft model has been made in 3 different versions. Officially 2, but there are actually 3. So you have the model as you see it on the box in this head candy livery, I guess it's called. And then you have one in the 2000 standard livery of Monarch Airlines, and that is the aircraft model we have inside. On the side of the box, the 2 versions are also specified. There is a third unofficial version, I guess it is, because that is then, well, a golden aircraft model. Apparently all 3 of them have the same registration code, so do notice that. But yeah, we look at the standard Monarch Airlines model today. And here she is, the Boeing 757-200 in the 2000 standard livery of Monarch Airlines. Now, Monarch Airlines is definitely not a very featured airline in Scale 500. In fact, there are only very few of them. There is a A330-200 in an old standard livery of Monarch Airlines from Hyperwings. Then there are this model, which comes in 3 different variants. Then there is an in-flight 500 757 with the Monarch Head Candy kind of fusion livery. And then there, of course, is an A321 from Hyperwings that, however, came in a special livery celebrating the royal wedding of Will and Kate. And so we are focusing on this 2007 Netmodels release. As always, we start our tour with a look at the tail section, where we have the Monarch Airlines branding on the vertical stabilizer. On the fuselage, we then have the flycandy.com web address, the full registration code of the aircraft, and the aircraft type specification. Do also notice the lovely bit of detailing in the cabin door. Towards the very tail of the aircraft, we unfortunately don't have any detailing regarding APU exhausts, but we have some little bit of detailing on the horizontal stabilizers. Also on top of the fuselage, we find some printed detailing in form of these antennas. Yes, not physical antennas, but printed details for a 2007 model, definitely not bad. And then towards the very front of the aircraft and across the fuselage, we find the writing of Monarch. Do also notice that in the blue belly of the aircraft, we actually find some static ports. And we also have a lovely amount of detailing at the cabin doors. If we then look at the cockpit section itself, here we have the cockpit windows with the metallic edge around those and the window wipers that have been printed on. Of course, there could maybe be a few more details, but again, for a 2007 release, this is perfectly fine. And the mode itself, I think, is also pretty good here. The engine nacelles have been given the same dark blue color as the belly of the aircraft. Here we also have the silver leading edge printed on, but no other printed details can be found here. The physical detailing is a bit of a mixed bag. The backside doesn't look the best, and from the front, sure, we have the engine fan blades, but they have been given the same grey metallic as the silver leading edge, and I think that should have been a different color. Then we can also take a quick look at the wings, starting off with the top side, where we have the different flap slats and spoilers carved out fairly nicely. We also have a little bit of, well, different shades of grey. The underside of the wings, again, some physical detailing, although that could have been a little bit more pronounced. But my favorite highlight is the fact that we do have the landing lights printed on. The landing gear of the aircraft model is overall, I think, also quite alright. I mean, yes, it's not the most detailed, but we have to keep in mind overall the age of the aircraft model. The front landing gear, I think, is perfectly fine. Although looking from the side, I would have wished for some printed details, but I do get them when we look underneath the aircraft. Here we have a lovely bit of detailing around the front landing gear. There is another little printed detail a bit further back, which I, however, couldn't really make out what that was about. And then we can see, of course, the age of the model really does show here when we see how the wings have been mounted into the fuselage. That today is, of course, done in a different way, where you normally slot the wings in from the side so you don't get these gaps. And then last but not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here, again with a lovely bit of printed detailing, both at the back and also here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Boeing 757-200 in the 2000 standard livery of Monarch Airlines from Netmodels in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? I mean, we have to be realistic here. Yes, of course, there are places where this aircraft model does show its age. I'm particularly thinking here about the way that the wings have been mounted into the fuselage. Also, the detailing of the wings could maybe be a little bit more elevated, as well as the detailing of the engines. But there are also places where this aircraft model does still beat anything that Happer releases nowadays. And that's mainly in the print. The amount of detailing we have with this 2007 release can easily compete with what Happer gives us today. And that's a little bit scary, I think. I mean, to date, we don't have landing lights as a standard detail with Happer wings. The static ports that this 2007 release has from Netmodels, well, that was a detail only added as a standard by Happer Wings in 2021. So what this model once again shows is not so much that Netmodels was ahead of its time because other diecast manufacturers around that time had the same amount of detailing. It just once more proves how far behind Happer Wings is. But that all put aside, if you want to have a Monarch Airlines aircraft model in scale 500 in your collection with a standard livery, then this is actually the only option you have, except for the A330-200 from Happer Wings with the 1990 standard livery. So should you be for the lookout for it, then I wish you happy hunting. And with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed it, then feel free to leave a like. If you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? And with that, thanks so much for having watched today's episode. See you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.